Hello again and welcome to another episode and the second part of our short break in Porto. Don't forget to check out all of the previous episodes, including our theme park holidays, cruises and short breaks right here on this channel. And if you enjoy any of the videos, please make sure you click on the like button, ring that notification bell to be informed of any future videos, and make sure you subscribe. Now, in the last episode, amongst other things, we checked into the Crown Plaza Hotel, took a guided walking tour of Porto, crossed the Douro River by the Dom Luís I Bridge to Villanova de Gaia. We enjoyed a cable car ride and went to a port wine museum and had a tasting there. As you'll know from the last episode, Porto is one of the oldest European cities and its historic centre is a World Heritage Site. Now, near to our hotel and set in the peaceful surroundings of the Porto Botanical Garden is the Hall of Biodiversity, housed within an elegant 19th century mansion. It's part of the University of Porto and open to the public. The curators have cleverly brought together art, science and literature to represent the diversity of life and its evolution over time. The museum uses various mediums including sculptures, interactive displays, photography and narration to create an entertaining experience. We explored the botanical gardens but didn't visit the exhibition, but if you decide to go inside, it will cost you just €5. If you are planning a city break in Porto, you may not have a trip to the beach on your itinerary. You may not even know that a number of beaches are so close to the city. After all, it's the World Heritage Centre of Porto and all that it has to offer, which attracts millions of visitors every year. Nevertheless, Porto is on the coast, the Costa Verde to be precise, featuring many glorious sandy beaches that seem to go on forever. The easiest to get to are the string of rock and sand beaches in Foz, where you can find surfers, tourists and locals, and you will be spoilt for choice for beachfront cafes. We walked from our hotel in around 40 minutes, but there are many other ways to get there from the city, including the vintage trams. And once we'd finished at the beach, that's how we returned to the Ribeira district to continue exploring the city. Once we got off the tram, we went straight to the church of the convent of St Francis, which is the most prominent Gothic monument in the city and is noted for its outstanding interior decorations. This is one of the most important and visited churches and dates back to the 14th century, later of course transformed into a splendid Baroque style. As we entered, we were asked not to take photographs or film inside, but I have to say a number of people disregarded that request, showing no respect at all. Nevertheless, I can tell you that the interior is truly impressive, with rich decoration in gold and carved wood that makes it one of the highlights of our trip. One of the most outstanding features is the so-called Tree of Jesse, a genealogical sculpture representing Jesus, which extends along the entire wall of the high altar. What you can see now is a museum and the 18th century St Francis Church set to the side of the convent and built on two previous sacred sites, the Chapel of Santa Isabel dating from 1638 and the first Church of Queen Santa Isabel, which was built later that century. The museum is in the Casa do Despacho and includes the first floor treasury room, which houses a permanent exhibition of works related to the history of the Venerable Third Order of St Francis and the city of Porto. The beautiful session room on the second floor features gilded carvings, altarpieces, artwork and coats of arms. And finally, the fascinating catacomb cemetery with its Baroque altar and gilded carvings. Now below the church are the catacombs holding tombs for members of the Franciscan order, and in a corner of the crypt, tucked away at the back, is a glass grated window in the floor where visitors can view the piles of human bones in the ossuary below. Next was another highlight of our trip, the Lello bookstore. It's one of the most beautiful bookstores in the world with its intricate neo-Gothic and Art Nouveau design. Inaugurated in 1906, it's also one of Portugal's oldest bookstores. It's most famous for its iconic central wooden staircase with its elegant curves and large stained glass windows. But it's also said to have inspired the creation of Hogwarts in the Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling lived in Porto in the early 1990s, teaching English as a foreign language during the day and writing at night. When rumours spread that the Lello bookstore was the inspiration for Flourish and Blots, the bookstore in Diagon Alley, where Hogwarts students purchased their school books, it attracted travellers from all over the world. and for that reason you'll now need a timed ticket to enter, but the ticket fee is then deducted if you purchase a book at the store. We continued to explore the city on foot, stumbling across cafes and bars to recharge our batteries, discovering endless nooks and crannies, and unusual sights like this impressive cemetery. Now, if you explore the Ribeira district, you'll notice the number of boat trips and excursions that are available. We took the Tomás do Douro Six Bridges cruise in a Rebelo boat. This is the type originally used to transport port wine barrels from the Douro region to Gaia and Porto. The 50-minute trip takes you from the historic centre of Porto to Fresho upstream and the mouth of the estuary Foz do Douro downstream.
Dévoilera quelques-unes des vues les plus célèbres de la ville de Porto et de magnifiques paysages qu'on ne peut observer que depuis un bateau.
You'll hear about the history of the six bridges that unify Vila Nova de Gaia and Porto, as well as other points of interest along the river.
Let's get things started with the Dom Luís I Bridge, one of the most emblematic bridges in Porto and perhaps in all of Portugal.
Construido en el año 2003 y con un vano del arco que mide 285 metros, lo que constituye un nuevo récord mundial. El puente más antiguo de los 6 puentes de Oporto.
Afastados apenas 10 centímetros entre si, nascida em 1995 para dar resposta ao aumento de tráfego rodoviário. Take a good look at the white building. It's the Royal School for the Orphans of Porto and was founded in 1651 to give a home and education to the city's abandoned and vulnerable children. Right next to it is the Guedes Funicular Railway, a historic monument in its own right, which was built in the 19th century.
También es de un elemento histórico construido en el siglo XIX. Estuvo desactivado más de un siglo y fue recuperado al inicio del siglo XXI.
À sua direita, apenas observe a beleza da zona da Ribeira. of San Pedro de Aforada, an old fishing village and one of the most typical of the Gaia area. Esperamos que este cruzeiro tenha sido do vosso agrado.
We do hope that this short cruise has been enjoyable.
Muchas gracias.
Now, you may remember in the last video we visited the Museum of the First Demarcation, dedicated to the oldest demarcated and regulated wine region in the world. It celebrates more than 260 years of the history and culture of port wine, for which the Real Compañía Vella played a decisive role between 1756 and 1834. Our €12 admission also gave us a free ticket with further tastings at the wine cellars further up the hill in Vilanova de Gaia. I have to say it was quite a walk up the hill to get there, although you can take a tram across the Dom Luis I bridge for most of the journey, with a 7 to 10 minute walk to the port wine cellars from the tram stop. Once there, we saw a short film about the company, enjoyed an extensive tour of the cellars with a knowledgeable guide, and then finished off with a tasting and a chance to buy.
And just in this area, we have another two types of barrels. We actually start with the ones on the left side, the smaller, Pipas, 500 to 600 liters of capacity, with American oak as well. Usually, we are going to use them for 20-year-old ports or 40-year-old ports. And after we have the smaller ones as well, Bohemians, 120 liters of capacity. Extra dry, 40 grams of sugar per liter. We stop the process of the fermentation. We add the wine spirits on the 4th day. This one is very known nowadays to do the cocktails with a tonic water, for example.
On our way back, we walked up to the 16th century monastery of Serra de Pilar. It has a fascinating history and was occupied in 1809 by Wellington's troops when the attack of the Portuguese army was planned on the city of Porto, then occupied by Napoleon's troops. The monastery is considered one of the most notable buildings of classical European architecture due to the circular church and cloister. Unfortunately, it was temporarily closed for maintenance work while we were there, but when it reopens it is reasonably priced. Nevertheless, we enjoyed taking in the scenes across the River Douro and the panoramic view of Porto. This was one of our favourite places for drinks and snacks, the Bar Pont Pensil, with fabulous views of the Dom Louis I Bridge, the river and the two cities. This is the Porto funicular, which links the Batalha area, the upper part of the city, with the Ribeira or riverbanks. It's located on the same site as the original 1891 funicular and was opened in 2001. The 2-minute ride costs €2.50 and it saves you from another hard climb while enjoying views over the river and the Dom Louis I Bridge. We took it from the base of the bridge up to the top behind the Porto Cathedral. This is the Igreja de Santo Ildefonso near to Batalha Square. It dates back to the 18th century and was completed in 1739. Inside is a framed altarpiece by the prolific Italian architect Niccolò Nasoni. His work can also be found elsewhere in Porto, including the Torre de Clerigos and Porto Cathedral. When you're inside, be sure to check out the beautiful stained glass windows and a pipe organ dating back to 1811. The granite church in Baroque style took 30 years to complete and is named after an early 7th century Bishop of Toledo. The striking facade has more than 11,000 classic blue and white tiles, which were added in 1932. The two bell towers are topped with stone crosses, masonry spheres and flagpoles with the flag of Portugal. And while you're here, make some time to visit the Sacred Art Museum. It has 7 rooms with the most significant pieces from the church, including textiles, liturgical pieces, gilded wood objects, old books, paintings and other artworks. On our final day, we decided to return to the beach, but this time we wanted to stop at the Parque da Cidade de Porto, which is the biggest urban park in Portugal. Although it was inaugurated in 1993, it was initially designed in the 1960s. It has miles of paths, lots of resting places with 74 tree species and plenty of wildlife. Several shows, concerts and events are held there every year, and there's also a flea market every Saturday morning. This is the Water Pavilion, originally presented at the Expo 98 in Lisbon. It was later moved here so that everyone can continue to enjoy it. The architect, Alexandra Burmester, designed it in such a way that it creates the illusion of being suspended in the air. The park's 205 acres extends all the way to the coastline, so when you visit it you'll be able to walk to Matosinhos, Porto's most popular beach. As you get closer to the sea, you can see the Sea Life Porto Aquarium, which is located next to one of the park's entrances on the beach side. It's not as big or as spectacular as the Lisbon Aquarium, but still great fun to visit with kids. It was a Saturday and the beach was busy with holidaymakers, locals and surfers. There are many excellent fish restaurants here as well as municipal market packed with fresh fruit, vegetables and seafood. As an unexpected surprise, we came across this 17th century fortress. It has the shape of a 4-point star, each one protected by a watchtower. It was classified as a public interest building in 1961 and has a small museum inside for a nominal fee.
They'll have some too. I'm not gonna go with this one.
If you don't want to walk here, you can catch the A-Line tram, the 500 bus, or do as we did on the return journey and walk back part of the way until we came to the vintage tram line. Finally, close to Avenida dos Aliados is one of the most popular and lively markets in Porto. The Mercado do Bolhão, the Bolhão market, was opened to the public in 1914 and specialises in meat, fish, fruit, flowers, vegetables and other colourful products. The market has several floors packed with stalls selling fresh produce and typical products from the region around a large central courtyard. And there are also numerous traditional and authentic shops and restaurants around the perimeter. We had a fabulous time in Porto and would certainly recommend you give it a try. It wasn't expensive, with the price of a coffee or a beer around €2 and a pastel de nata little more than €1. The museums aren't expensive either, and many of the churches and parks are free. The city has stunning architecture and character, beautiful scenery, great places to eat and drink, as well as attractions ranging from historic buildings, port wine cellars and museums, boat rides and vintage trams, which all combine for a perfect city and beach break. And that's it for now, I'm afraid. Don't forget to take a look at the other videos on the channel featuring Caribbean and Mediterranean cruises, plus our visits to eco parks and theme parks in Mexico, the United States and Europe. You'll also find city breaks in the UK and Europe, as well as short breaks providing top tips, hints and ideas. Above all, if you enjoy any of the videos, you can really help the channel by clicking on the like button, ringing that notification bell and subscribing. And I hope you can join me next time for the next episode of Main Street Martin.